Hey, good afternoon, folks. MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa here with the MLive morning weather update. Only it's afternoon, so trying to keep you updated here, folks. If this is the first time you're joining us, this is the way we typically do it during the morning hours on MLive. Let's get into it. Basically, what I want to tell you about is two storm systems. Of course, you know the storm system that's over us now, changing our weather, falling temperatures, and some areas of heavy lake effect snow. Now, I do want to emphasize that, when we get into pure lake effect, usually the areas affected are smaller than what most of you imagine. So we'll go over that. But then I want to tell you that the second storm system right on its heels, I've been watching this for about 3 or 4 days now, and it consistently continues to show in the data that it's going to be a more widespread, what we call a system snow, and pretty much could bring accumulations to all of lower Michigan, some of the UP, and in a moderate form. So I'll get to that too. We're going to have to start to talk about the amounts of snowfall on that. I figured first, still really good to just start with the basics of where the warnings are at and the advisories. Let's start on the east side of the state where you see the light tan, I guess you'd call it. That's a wind advisory. We still have some gusts to 45 miles an hour set to happen this evening, it looks like. On the shoreline of Lake Michigan, Ludington southward, that's a high wind warning for still some 50-mile-an-hour gusts possible in the evening hours. I'll show that to you here in a few moments. The pink areas, winter storm warnings, generally that implies that you're going to have 6 or more inches of snow, some cases much more. And then the orange up across the northern and western part of the UP, that's a blizzard warning. The purple, a winter weather advisory, usually that's for about 3 to 6 inches of snowfall. So let's start with the radar. And you can see the pivot point. You can see the center of the storm system. Almost looks like, what you'd see in a hurricane, the swirling nature of the rain on the radar. In this case, it's a lot of it's snow, and you can see the pivot point up in northern Lake Michigan. So Traverse City just getting cold enough for snow, while it's already been snowing in Big Rapids, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo. That westerly flow on the south end of Lake Michigan really starting to pour in the snowfall. So really it's just starting to develop is, I guess, what I would tell you. Now, here's a radar forecast. So I want to remind you that radar forecast is kind of what I always like to call weather fantasy land. So a model means it's going to be what the model projects will happen in the future. So even though this looks like an authentic radar image, it's actually a model of what will happen in the future. So let's get on into that and show you what I'm talking about. Give me just a second here. Okay. So let's go through the evening hours. Here's 6 o'clock this evening. Pretty well it's changed over to snow. Snowing South Haven to Kalamazoo, curling up to Lansing and Flint in a southwesterly flow. You get kind of a southwest to northeast band that sometimes comes along I-69, so be careful there. And then you see the heavier snow, Ludington, Manistee, into the Traverse City area, and then of course you see the heaviest snow up across the UP. We go to 9 o'clock tonight, same heavy lake effect snow, and then an interesting scenario occurs. We go to a northwesterly wind, so you get lake effect bands all the way across Lake Superior, all the way across the central UP, into the Traverse City, Kalkaska area, especially Kalkaska. And that band can slip all the way down into the Saginaw Bay area. At Saginaw Bay, those bands kind of waver around, so you get a burst of snow and then it stops, burst of snow, and that limits the amounts in the Saginaw Bay area. Hey, good afternoon, Kyle Edmark. It's an Ishpeming, and it's coming down. He's an Ishpeming and coming down. So tomorrow morning, this is 9 o'clock. Now, you're going to be lake effect snow, which means let's emphasize where it won't be really too snowy. It won't be snowy in Ann Arbor and Detroit. You could have what I call occasional spurts of snow showers, but nothing that lasts a long time. It won't be snowy in Flint, maybe not in Saginaw, definitely not Alma and Lansing in this kind of pattern. Jackson to Kalamazoo to Holland and Allegan, up the coast, Muskegon, Ludington, Manistee, and then through the Traverse City area, you've got the snow. And again, the dominant band looks like it's going to cut across Leelanau County into Kalkaska and then southeastward toward Houghton Lake. This could be a strange one because Houghton Lake doesn't often get heavy lake effect, but look as we go into the afternoon, that dominant band from Mansalona to near Kalkaska to Houghton Lake may cut across Saginaw Bay into the thumb even, and then you have a few bands in the southwest part of the state. Now we go into the evening tomorrow, starting to break down. Not in Kalkaska and Mansalona though, and so note you're going to see, hey, good afternoon, go blue SH. So you're not going to see it taper off in the northwest and also in the southwest. Kalamazoo continues. This is a good flow for Kalamazoo to continue to have snow. Now, this is by midday Friday. It's pretty well tapered off. You still have some bands that you can run through, but nothing that's widespread. So I'd call it over by, say, sunrise on Friday. All right, so how much? Let's take it to 9 o'clock this evening. This is actually 10 o'clock this evening. Hey, good morning or good afternoon. Yeah, I'm all out of whack because I've been working early, working late, and then I'll be honest, I just took a nap, so I have no idea what time of day it is. How much in Freeport? There you see it. I think you're looking at probably 2 to 4 inches in Freeport, north around the Grand Rapids area. So this is by 10 o'clock tonight. You know, you're looking at a couple of inches. Cadillac to Irons, Wellston, southward. Everybody wants to always call me when I'm on live. Even my mother does that. Oh, hey, he's on live. Let me give him a call. It's not my mom, though. It looks like a spam call. And then in the southwest corner, Kalamazoo, you could have 2 to 4 inches by late this evening. Western UP, 6 inches. Continues to fall, obviously, overnight. You wake up tomorrow morning, put the turkey in the oven, and you might have 6 to 8 inches around the Cadillac area. And note the dominant band from Kalkaska to Houghton Lake, which was really rare, and then it cuts across Saginaw Bay and comes into Huron County in the thumb. Look at the southwest corner, Kalamazoo. You're looking at 2 to 5 inches by morning. UP up to as much as 10 inches already. We go through the day tomorrow, and it continues to come down. We'll take it out to the end of this. So for this first event, this is what it should look like. We'll call it 6 to 10 around the Kalamazoo area. And that band can extend southeastward toward Jackson with a couple of inches. On a stronger wind like this, it usually the heaviest in northwest lower blows inland a little bit. And you can kind of see that idea. Cadillac, Interlaken, south toward Big Rapids, 6 to 10 inches of snow. Big Rapids usually does not get that much, but just northwest. And then you have that dominant band, Kalkaska, Mansalona. Houghton Lake, that would be different for Houghton Lake. And look at the UP. It's all colored with heavy snowfall. All right, so that's our first snow. let me jump back to that because I want to show you the winds too. So there will be quite a bit of blowing and drifting in there. I continue to say the earlier you can travel now, the better off you're going to be. So here's the wind gust forecast. And let's go to 6 o'clock this evening. You can see the 50-mile-an-hour gusts starting to come onshore. Frankfurt, Manistee, Ludington, Pentwater, Muskegon. Much of lower Michigan will have gusts to 40 miles an hour, except for the far north, where the pivot point of the storm center is. But as that shifts to the east, then the wind shifts also and starts blowing more out of the northwest. The wind increases in Traverse City and around the Grand Traverse region. It increases in northeast lower Michigan. And all of us, by morning, wake up to gusts 35 to 40 miles an hour and a whole lot colder, too. Hey, good afternoon to Block 8311. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody. You're watching the MLive Morning Weather Update Special Edition at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Just to try to keep you updated here, okay? And this is MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. Thanks for hanging with me. We got a snowstorm to talk about after this. So this is tomorrow, midday. The wind coming down in places, but still uncomfortably gusty on these cold temperatures early in the season. So this is 3 o'clock and 4 and 5 o'clock. And we don't see the real gusts in that heavy snow band. We don't see those really come down until we get to about Friday morning, when the gusts will come down to 20, 25 miles or so and continue to weaken. You can kind of see off to the west the weakening coming. All right, so now the next storm system, a little bit different of a beast. This would be what we call a system snow. So the current snowstorm, lake effect, usually very heavy in isolated areas. You know, most of the times in a lake effect snow, us meteorologists get called out for overdoing it because most people aren't in the heavy band. And then if you're in the heavy band, it's almost unbelievable how heavy. Now the next one, which is on the Pacific Northwest coast right now, will be here Saturday into Sunday, and a more widespread general shield of snow. Not quite as heavy as the lake effect snows can be, but it affects everybody. So this is the upper airflow. If you don't watch me much, this is the upper airflow forecast. And you'll see anytime there's a kink, like a backup right now, there's a strong upper level system over us now. That moves off to the east on Friday. And then watch as we go into Saturday and Sunday, the next kink in the jet stream develops. This is Sunday. And so when you get one of those kinks, that's a weather maker. And that's the next one. So what we're going to use is, I get to pick out the models for you. That's the nice thing here, is you don't have to rely on a weather app that you have no idea what model they're using, but I get to pick them out. I get to pick out what I think is the most accurate. And right now I have the European model in the ensemble mode, which means it has about 50 tweaks. So we go into Friday, and I would call Friday just some patchy flurries. But look by Saturday morning. Look what's going on off to the west. Another widespread storm system forming a little farther south this time. This is Saturday afternoon, meaning the light snow would start to spread into the southwest half of lower Michigan Saturday afternoon. Then we go to Saturday afternoon and evening, and we go to Saturday night, and the storm system kind of gathering strength. You start to see the darker blue. That would be a widespread shield of moderate snow. And this is Sunday morning. You wake up Sunday morning on this, and you've got snow maybe all the way down to the southern border. You might have a mix there in the southern, far southern areas, depending on the track, and that's what we'll be trying to pin down. This is Sunday afternoon, snow across the entire lower peninsula, and then by Sunday evening, it works its way off. So this is really a Saturday afternoon to Sunday midday type snow, we'll call it. We go into Monday, and then that's the end of our run, but the next system might already be developing. Doesn't look as strong. So let's try to figure out, make a guesstimate of how much snow the next one will be. Well, first off, what I do is I use what I call situational forecasting, meaning what does this storm look like? What does it typically do as a heavy band of snow? This one looks like about a 5 to 9 inch snow. I don't like to say 10 inches because then you run with it. And 9 just implies it's a little bit less developed than a closed upper low would develop. 5 to 9 inches, that's pretty solid snowstorm. Not a mega snowstorm, but at this time of the year, with the travel on Saturday and Sunday, it's an important snowstorm. So we're going to look at, this is just kind of a general guide because this band can shift somewhat north. It could maybe shift another 100 miles north this far out. Remember, the storm's just starting to hit the Pacific Northwest. So think about how amazing that is. 2,000 miles away, and this might be 100 miles off. I don't think it'll be 200 miles off. And typically at this time of the year, if a storm system changes, it comes a little farther north, and that rain snow line would also come a little farther north. So I'm going to show you a couple of options here just to give you a flavor of what we're seeing. This is the European model in its operational mode. It can be off a little bit, but I like the looks of it. And this is a total snowfall there. Now, don't write this down in your diary just yet, but get that idea that there's a 6 to 9 inch swath. This model has it in the southern half of the state, 5 inches up to Traverse City and Gaylord. And then the next one I'll show you is shifted a little bit farther to the north. This is by Saturday evening, 7 o'clock, starting into the southwest corner. And by Sunday morning, in other words, Saturday night could be quite snowy. Chicago also, Milwaukee also. Those areas in this kind of situation would actually get some enhancement. Hey, to block 8311, Detroit Zoo, just dark and dreary. That's probably what you're going to get. How does weather look for Ann Arbor on Saturday for the game? Let's go back to this. I can't remember what time it is, the game is, but this would be, right here would be the accumulations by 1 p.m. Saturday and the accumulations by 7 p.m. Saturday. So I would say you may have some light snow in that period, but really the brunt of it starts after 7 p.m. if the timing is correct. Okay, now this is the U.S. model. It's usually not the greatest, but in this case, I think it gives you an idea of a second scenario. And here's the total snowfall off of this. And it's a 5 to 7 inch snow, a little more widespread and maybe a little bit farther to the north. So we got a second storm system, a widespread snow on the way. Here are the high temperatures. We're into winter, my friends. We are into winter, and tomorrow for Thanksgiving, high temperatures only upper 20s, western half of the state. Some spots like around Saginaw Bay, Tawas, Alpena, Ann Arbor, Detroit, maybe make it to 34, 35. Friday is cold. Almost all of us should stay below freezing. Some spots only in the 20s. Saturday's cold. And that sets us up for snow on Saturday night and Sunday. Here's Sunday, a couple degrees either side of 32. Most of your widespread snowstorms live in that kind of temperature regime. Behind it, Monday, we get colder. Highs only in the mid to upper 20s everywhere. Tuesday's cold. Wednesday's cold. December 4th and December 5th and December 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th. Guess what, my friends? Winter is officially here. I'll go ahead and declare that. Thanks for joining me on the MLive morning weather update usually. This afternoon we wanted to give you an update. So keep updated on mlive.com/weather. And the next thing is, I think you know what's going to happen here. The fortunate thing is on the east side of the state with the wind, the roads blow dry, and then you get into little bands of snow. So stay farther east. So I-75 is better than 127, certainly better than 131 and US 31. If you can do that, avoid those couple of roads here in the next 24 hours. And then follow this next storm system with me. We'll be pinning down the exact track and who gets what. And this could be a pull out the shovel snow for just about all of us. Thanks for joining me on the MLive update. I'm MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. Have yourselves a great Thanksgiving. You'll see me tomorrow giving you an update. Take care. Bye.